Good morning, party peoples. Today is January 19th, 2024, and we're off to do big boy things today. We picked up the rental John Deere 333 with the John Deere head on it, mulching head. And this is the first video we're going to be showcasing our new 24 Chevy 3500. It's a little bit of an upgrade from the 20-year-old green 3/4 ton truck you guys have been seeing tow this usually. So excited. Towed this home about an hour last night. Towed beautifully, but excited to take it around the countryside today. It's a little after 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15 this morning. Slept in today because I was still about 12, 15 below last night. So we've got many days to do this project, and the weather's looking to be a little warmer. So I just wanted to wait till she warmed up a little bit. No sense freezing my butt off here this morning, so we're being a little lazy. But I wanted to take you guys along with us today as we hammer out this project. We're headed down to a customer's house just south of Big Fork, and we're gonna put in a couple miles worth of cross-country skiing trails for them. Predominantly cross-country skiing, a little bit of hiking. So just wanted to show you guys what the process is like for us today, what kind of work goes into this to get us our finished product. So stay tuned. We're gonna get the truck loaded up, gonna throw tools and fuel in there today, probably leave the chainsaws at home, staying in the cab of the equipment today, but just wanted to fire it up here at the shop, make sure she was gonna start for me this morning. All right, we are rolling. Well, we're on that same project here. We just got going, probably didn't start actually mulching until 10:15. Our job clock's just about to hit 2 hours. And I think it's a little thicker in here than I originally anticipated. They're not bad. I was the one who walked this and flagged this, but I was hoping that we'd be going a little faster than we are. I'm having to really be careful here, dropping all these anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 inch Aspen. The mulcher handles them just fine. The problem is that they get so tangled up in everything else, and they leave nice big logs, nice in a bad way, nice big logs on the trail that we're trying to turn into nice mulch. So we're gonna end up doubling back and mulching up a bunch of these trees that are left scattered on the trail. I'm convinced that every manufacturer of compact track loaders gets together and says, you know, we're really close to designing the perfect machine, but we can't really give them anything that's 100% perfect. Like, we always got to leave the customer wanting more. So what should we sacrifice on? You know, there might be some debate. Maybe some will say that you should make one armrest just a little bit higher than the other, or, you know, make one window just a little foggier than the other. But no, in all honesty, I think they all agreed that the windshield wipers should just suck in every single skid steer. Every one on the market, the windshield wipers should all just be subpar. You go out and spend 120 grand on a skid steer, and you're still going to get a shitty wiper. I'm convinced of it. Every single brand sucks. Probably all made by the same communist country, I suppose. Well, these wipers probably come from China. So I don't know how everyone else mulches. I never really had a formal education on mulching. The first time I mulched, actually, I was working for M&L, Minnesota Native Landscapes, out of Otsego, Minnesota. They sent me up to Baudette in northern Minnesota, doing a project for the state, mulching up there. And I got about half an hour where one of the guys that was really good in our equipment showed me, all right, here's how you do it, and good luck. He was there for half an hour maybe, and then he took off, and then it was me versus many acres of brush. So it was fun in the fact that I got to learn kind of at my own pace, and sometimes I probably am harder on myself than any teacher could be. So it was good for me to get some time in a machine alone, but at the same point in time, I never was really exposed to how different folks might have different techniques. Everyone does things a little differently, so I just kind of know my way. I watched some guys on YouTube, but I haven't really discovered any here's how you do it the proper way videos, So now I've got, I don't know if I've got 1,000 hours in it. I might have over 1,000 hours sitting behind mulchers, but I for sure have multiple hundreds. And for being so young in business, I'm happy with that experience right now. So with that being said, if any of you guys watching this have any tips, tricks, techniques for me, I'm not going to claim to be the best. I just claim to be self-taught, and I'm good enough to get trees on the ground and turn them into mulch. But obviously I'm not as good as the seasoned professionals that have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. The method behind my badness is it bangs the door up pretty good, but I really like on these taller, thicker aspens, I like to get that mulcher up pretty high and get that push bar at a good angle and start working into that tree and try to get that top to go the right way away from me. But another reason that I like to do that is it also gets up where the tree's a little thinner. Yeah, sure, it might only be, 3/4 inch to an inch thinner, but it also helps that mulcher eat through a little bit better without stalling out like it does at the bottom of the tree. So, in my opinion, the less that I have to back off the tree, the better the chance that it's going to go the direction I want. And then, this stump seems to splinter pretty good by the time you get down to it. That's just the way I like to do it. That's what I think is most efficient. And I'll just sit here and kind of skim over the top of the log. Kind of drag some back with us, but that's all right. We don't need it to be perfect. We just need things down on the ground and mulched up a little bit. In this instance, we are putting in a trail for these customers, so we don't want to leave any gigantic logs for them. But at the same point in time, the way that I sort of structure things when we're in here operating, I kind of do it in phases. I'll go through and knock everything down, and if it's easy enough, like right now where I'm at, where I'm on a nice straight stretch, I'll sit here and go back and forth and mulch things up. But if it gets to be super time consuming, if it gets to be super time consuming, or where I'm kind of stuck around corners and it gets to be difficult, I'll pass over that area at first and leave, a couple bigger logs, a couple bigger pieces of shrapnel. And we'll come back to it, because what I'm doing is I'm charging the customer by the hour. So I like to go pick the lowest hanging fruit first and get a trail established, and then I see where we're at budget-wise for the customer. So for this one, exact cost I don't remember off the top of my head because I itemized the trail sections, but I want to say that I estimated this trail was going to cost about 10 grand to put in for them. And with that, I told them that we do one machine width, so this machine's got about a 5 But anyways, so I told him we'd do one pass through here, one width, and get things mulched up a little bit. So I go through and do our primary pass, and we kind of see where we sit with the budget. And then I can talk to the customer a little bit and say, hey, you know, here's where we sit. Here's the areas that I think need the most attention. You can walk this path with me and see if you agree. And we can start by doing those things until we hit the budget. And then you can decide if you want to invest any more money into fine-tuning this trail a little more. Or if you just want to putz on it yourself, you know, and maybe throw a couple of big sticks off. That one hurt. You know, maybe throw a couple of big sticks off. Shit. I hate that when they run sideways on me. That's what I get for jaw jacking. And this machine stuff. But anyways, then the customer gets to decide if he wants to invest more money into his project, i.e. more time, or if he just wants to call that good enough. You know, some folks are quite happy just getting the trees knocked down, and some folks, you know, don't even want to be able to distinguish a stick there. They want everything perfectly fine mulch like you'd have around their house. So everybody's got their own opinion, and this allows us to kind of manage customer expectations a little bit. I believe it leaves a happier end result for them because they get to feel in more control of where their money goes versus just slapping them with a big bill at the end and saying, here you go, you know, take it or leave it. Everybody wants more control and more say in their property, so that's kind of the way that I run things. And who knows, maybe I'll change over the years, but you know, for last year and this year, it seems to be working pretty good for us. I like the frozen ground because we can get those stumps down to the ground without coating up a bunch of dirt and mud, but when you're trying to back drag, coats up on the back of your screen, the radiator's back there. Usually things are warm enough to melt off, but anywhere that it's not warm enough to melt off, it's real annoying. Which way we want to go with this? Shut the camera down here for a little bit, but I figured that'd be a good example. I might just put this one on you, this clip alone on YouTube as well, just to give folks an example of how fast and or slow this setup can go through some of these larger trees. To its credit, it's not getting gummed up too bad. It's not getting clogged up too often. But trying to be light on it. In all honesty, I'd rather whip these trees into the woods rather than sit here and mulch them all up piece by piece. Not gonna hurt the woods either way. It's all rotting back into the ground. It's just gonna be aesthetically if a guy wants to look at a bunch of logs or not. So we'll try to mulch a good portion of this, and it's one of the reasons I'm not closing my gate on the mulching head. Is, yeah, it chews things up a little better, but I find that if I don't close the gate, it kind of whips things around out the front a little bit, and I'm alright with that. Kind of spread it out, because we'll go from some heavy concentrations of wood to some light concentrations, and It's about, 4 o'clock. You can hear that head spinning yet. Oh, so we'll try not to stick our feet in there, or our hands. It's about 4 o'clock here, and I figured this was a perfect example. I need a little break to stretch my legs, but I figured this was a perfect example of the differences that extra passes make. So this stuff here, this is a connecting trail. There's a trail that runs in parallel to this trail over back there, but this is a connecting trail here, and this trail only has one pass on it. So this is what happens when we go through and we knock everything over, and I'll mulch a little bit, but main goal is to just get the trail established, make sure it's wide enough, and start grinding down the stumps. But my main goal at the end is to have the trail look more like this one over here. So that girl's gonna need a little chipping out before we go home tonight. So after we knock everything down, I came back on this trail and did a drive forward, and then another mulching backwards here. And now this stuff is much more manageable. This is exactly what we're looking for. I mean, there's a few tops on the sides. That's no problem, you know, there's some sticks on the sides, but, you know, it's not worth sticking the head in there and tipping over more trees. Instead, we're just looking to do this. We're looking to shatter all this. This aspen shatters pretty nice when it's cold. So usually if you can spin it around in the head a couple of times, she'll break up. And there's some bigger chunks, but, you know, all in all, if we can get everything down to that size or smaller, then we're sitting really nice. We can always come through and we can always make more passes and make the mulch finer, but bang for your buck, this is probably the best finished product. This is probably the most efficient way to do it without spending a lot of money to get this stuff really small. At least with the head and the teeth that we run. But, you know, this is an example again of, you know, compared to a trail that I haven't driven over a couple of times yet. So it will get to look prettier, but most of our trails are going to look like this for today. So we've got about 5 billable hours by the time we get back to the truck. Maybe we'll hit 5.5 today, but today was just kind of a move into site day, you know, and kind of see how things were going to go for us. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We got you rigged up back there on the back windshield again in the skiddy. And we're going to take you along as we do some fine tuning to this trail. It is, about noon 30. I don't have a clock set up in here. It's about noon 30. And we're back on that property south of the Big Fork working on the trails again. Last night we got one of the big loops completed. We only ended up getting about 5.5 billable hours, but we made her home in time for supper, which was pretty nice. We got a lot of stuff knocked down, but we didn't get a lot of things all mulched up in the trail really nice. So what I've been doing here for the past hour is just hitting these areas again and turning them into nice mulch. And bumping a few trees here and there. So a lot of the areas look like this, where you've got, get that out of the way, where you've got trees down. So we just come in here, we spend some time eating them. We tilt that head down so those teeth are aggressive into the ground. And we just chew all this junk up. Like clearing wildlife openings in small acreage a lot better than I like putting trails in. job back dragging. All the while, you're bumping trees off to the side that your head can't reach without damaging more trees. You're throwing things in the woods, which isn't bad. It makes life a little easier, but you're just making a larger mess. And it's a lot harder to get a perfect finished product. You end up with, like right up here, you end up with a lot of trees that are just pushed against the side, which don't make a heck of a difference for the utilitarian purposes of the trail, but they make a big difference for the looks, the aesthetics of the trail. This little stuff here, sometimes you can grab a tail of this and kind of suck it through and pull it away, but a lot of the times it just ends up pressed against the wood line. So we give the homeowner a couple of options. I'll go through and do the absolute best I can using just the machine. And then the homeowner can either say, yeah, that looks just fine. I don't really care about a few trees leaning up against the side. Or they can say, I'd like it perfect. And then we send guys in here behind the machine, and they're doing stuff by hand. And they just build on time. So come through here with 2 guys and a chainsaw, and you're throwing stuff off the trail. You're cutting anything up that's on the side, maybe too big to handle, and you're chucking it off. And just makes it look a lot nicer. It doesn't really affect the usability of the trail, but it makes it look a lot nicer. So that we leave up to the customer at the end. We don't include that in the original estimate. We just include equipment hours in the estimate, and then we go from there if they want additional. So that way it kind of puts the ball in their court. They get full control over how much they do or don't want to spend, and what the finished product looks like. Oh, good evening. It's about 5:20 right now. And we are putting the finishing touches on a couple of connector trails here. And let's treat my lips. And I want to do a sample of what it's like to mulch it now. I don't really like it. Maybe some people think it's cool, or maybe if you're doing brushy stuff. But in a small machine, it's not a lot of fun to morning, everyone. We are sitting at, about 8 o'clock here on Sunday morning. Beautiful out today. It is about, I think we had 10 above here when we left the house this morning at about 6:30. We'll probably sit 11 or 12 above, hopefully. It's going to be nice today. I think we're even going to get up to like 17 degrees, I saw. It's going to be crazy today. So, wanted to fire up and just show you guys a little cruise in here this morning, where we sit on things. Oh, these are just one hard bump that I can't grind down there. Must be a rock. So, this stuff here still needs to be touched up a little bit by the road, but I don't want to be shooting debris out on the road, so I'm kind of saving this for last. Might do a little bit of hand work in here, but once you get back in here, let's get this gate down. Sometimes this gate just doesn't want to fold down, but once you get back in here a little bit, things are coming along very nice. Really getting things mulched up well. There's a stick from time to time, but other than that, it's looking beautiful. If you notice here, sure you might have, a little bit of a log left from time to time, but for the most part, this is nice. It's flat, it's level. The little clumps you see are literally just super soft little clumps of mulch. Super easy to, you run them over once or you step on them and they disperse and they squish down. I mean, this is exactly what we're going for. So I'm really happy to see how this is coming along. We're going to be a little bit over budget at this rate. Just because some of this stuff was a little thicker than I planned on. But it's still going to come along really nice. So we'll see where we're at the end of the day and then have that conversation with the customer that, hey, we've probably got one more day of operation in here, and if we go all day, we're going to be over budget. Just leave that ball in his court, see if he wants to trim any fat anywhere, or if we should just keep going how we're going. But around some of the corners, you'll see there's logs and sticks laying. It's super tough to maneuver on these corners and get these things to an area to where we can mulch them without just shooting them out. So that's an instance where I'm just going to booger up the healthy trees around the trail, and I'm just going to kind of booger up the ground and just make a mess of things more than I am actually going to be mulching any decent wood. So that's something where we'll give him the option if he wants us to come in and do any hand work. We'll happily do that, but doesn't need to. Everything is plenty passable right now with the tractor. Things are looking great. We tried to curve around large trees so we could save some bigger trees. We try to make our intersections nice and wide, so if he wants to turn the tractor around in here, or if he ends up doing anything else on these intersections, he's covered. And you'll see there's tops like that are hung up in the trees, and I'm not able to pull that out with the machine without just mowing down a whole nother pass. So that, again, if you want stuff like that cleaned up, it'll have to be hand work, but it's not very noticeable. If it bugs you, it's easy enough to clean up, but if it doesn't bug you, no one's going to notice. Little stuff like this is exactly what I'm looking for. See this area? Even though I thought this area was done, I probably shot this out behind me as I was going along, knocked that tree over maybe with the ass end of the machine. So stuff like this definitely needs to be cleaned up yet. We're not leaving that as finished product. But I just wanted to take a few seconds to show you guys how things are coming along. Since it was above zero this morning, we're going to get a full, we'll probably do 8-10 hours of operation out here today. Probably be a 12-hour day out here, in total 11 or 12. So Should be a good one, but things should look a hell of a lot different once we're done today. It's coming along nicely. Well, good morning, everyone. We are sitting at about 10:30 on this beautiful Monday morning. I've got you along with me as we are mulching up the entrance here. So when I first pushed my way in to start making this trail, I pushed all the trees in and I just sort of ignored the entrance. The reason being is that I didn't want to mulch too much on my way in because, oh, shoot, I killed it. You got to watch me be a fool and quit mulching with having my continuous locked in. But anyways, the reason for me not mulching this entrance at first is because when you're mulching, predominantly things are shooting out the back underneath your machine, and I didn't want to sit here and throw trees out onto the road as cars were driving by or make a mess out on the road. So I just kind of tipped everything in, pushed it up in a pile, and now I'm taking my time and I'm coming back and mulching. You'll notice earlier in the video I said I wasn't using my gate too much because I just want to disperse, but there's such a pile in some of these spots that I have been closing my gate just to mulch everything up finer because I can't throw it far enough to actually get it out of the pile. So for all the hardcore mulchers out there, I do use my gate. Yesterday was quite the debacle. I didn't record any of it just because I was under such a time crunch. Recording and producing content is something I do in my free time. You know, not really a big money maker, big advertiser for us. So it's just kind of a luxury when I can record YouTube videos and put them out, which is why you see a lot of them come out in the winter time when I have more free time. But yesterday, the gate, I was trying to use the gate and it was working intermittently, and that's very strange. And then all of a sudden my button, which is on my left joystick, for my continuous flow to run the mulcher stopped working. So the way it works is there's a toggle switch on your right controller, and that'll get your mulcher to start running, and then you hold a button on your left and then it's continuous, and then you don't have to hold down any buttons. Your mulcher is just going to run as long as you have it on high flow. Your mulcher is just going to run on its own. And that stopped working yesterday. So I thought, what in the world? So I started looking for the problem, and upon looking for the problem, I discovered that I wedged a tree where a tree was not supposed to be wedged. I wedged a tree up near the quick attach pins and the quick attach solenoid and cylinder, and I bent a bunch of stuff. Now that wasn't my problem, but I found that I had broken some stuff while I was looking for my problem. So I got a hold of my buddy Ryan Johnson. He works for Cook Logging, and he is just a great guy. He can fix anything under the sun. So I got a hold of him. I said, hey, I messed some stuff up. I need some help. And I got a hold of Clint Cook with Cook Logging. I said, hey, I messed some stuff up. Can I use your welder in your shop here this evening? He said, absolutely. So those two guys really saved my butt because we spent last night, I quit working about 2:30 in the afternoon. And at about 9 o'clock, we probably had the fix done. And we didn't fix everything because we didn't have the parts, but we took it all apart. We saw what parts I needed to order, and we put it back together just enough to be able to mulch here today. So very fortunate that we were able to get it fixed at least to a usable standpoint. And I called John Deere this morning and got parts. They said, yeah, we got everything you need in stock. $1,200. I was hoping for $1,000. Ryan said up being $1,200 worth of parts. So we just opted to throw the parts in ourselves. We'll throw Ryan something for his time. Whatever it is that I pay him, it's going to be a lot cheaper than a shop rate of probably 150 plus, 175 bucks an hour. Well, guys, this is the last leg, finally. We're coming in just a few hours over budget. I already talked to the customer and, you know, said that we're going to be a few hours over budget. You know, I can keep going at this rate, or I can cut something short if you want. He said, nope, you're good, just get her finished doing right. So we're trucking away. We're only going to add on maybe another 3 hours max. All in all, it's not bad considering my original estimate. I didn't look at cleaning out around some of the white pines that we did, and I didn't plan on a little spur out to another tree that we did that cost half an hour. So, you know, all in all, we were pretty dang close on our estimate. We were within 10%. So I'm really happy on that. But now you guys will notice we're popping out by the house. So what I had to do was come in from the yard and push the trees over this way. Yeah, see them talking and they get clogged. Yeah, shoot. So what we had to do was come in from the... That's a big jump. What we had to do is we had to come in from the yard and we had to push all the trees this way into the woods. And then we had to come back from the other way, from the road, and we had to mulch them all up this way because a lot of our stuff wants to shoot out back behind the skid steer. So had to be pretty careful with that. Had to take our time, and things are coming out really nice now. The customer seems pretty happy. They've been walking and raking out their trail, you know, and with their loppers and trimming up some of the branches. All the little putsy handwork that we could have done there, they're opting to do all that. So we're just worried about the equipment stuff, which is really nice. Gotta turn my idle all the way up. I don't know how interesting it was for you guys to watch some things that we were doing, watch some of the processes here of different areas that we were mulching, my thought process to how I'm going about it, planning it out. But if this is something that gets some views you guys like to see, let me know in the comments, and I'll put out more videos like this. It's pretty easy for me to just click record on the GoPro mount behind me and record 5, 10, 15 minutes worth at a time and piece them all together. Good little putsy video for the winter. Also, if you guys would like to see anything else in addition to what I'm showing here, if you guys want more things outside the equipment, more loading and unloading, more transport, more planning phase, maybe walking through with the customer or walking through market trails, let me know and I'll put out stuff like that. But I just figured I'd try some of the easy equipment stuff first. But I think this should do it for the project. We are just feet away. I'm gonna pop out on the yard here, and then as soon as I do, I'm gonna stop and grease. I can hear this boom is squeaking a little bit. So we greased it just 8 hours ago, but I guess not enough. There were a couple that were pretty sticky. I couldn't get much grease into, so must have been the ones. But once we pop out on the yard, we'll grease this machine again. And as soon as we do, we'll drive the trails one last time just to verify that we didn't miss anything. There's no big stumps sticking out. As soon as that's done, we're going to call it complete. I consider this a success. Customer's happy with how this is going. I'm extremely temporary project. This customer also has a bunch of handwork that we're going to come back and do. We probably won't get to finish it this week. Being that we have another habitat improvement project going on that we have to administer, where a logger's coming in to do some cutting, but I'm thinking next week we should be able to get in here and take care of this. So maybe we'll show a few before and after pictures of that on a separate post. But thank you guys for hanging out with me while I sit here and do this putsy work. Spending 25 hours plus in a skid steer alone. It gets me kind of boring sometimes. So this was a good little pastime for me. Anyways, let me know your feedback. Please like this video, and if you haven't, subscribe to our channel. And hopefully we'll catch you on the next one.